Hey, Mr. Sulik.
How's it going today?
Great. I'm so glad we're finally done with all that government stuff.
What do you mean, done?
I've been doing those three branches and the Bill of Rights forever. I bet the kids are pretty well zoned out. It's time to move on.
That might be true, but we're not done yet.
What?
Well, our forefathers put it all together, but if you remember, the Ninth Amendment says not all of your rights were listed in the Constitution.
Yeah, but so what?
Well, there was way back in the late 1700s. We've come a long way since then.
Yeah, I guess so.
Since the Bill of Rights, our country has added 17 other amendments.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess we need to soldier on with the information.
But no soldiers in our homes unless we allow it.
Nice. Little Amendment 3 cheap plug there.
I can't let you have all the corny jokes, but we need to get on to amendments 11 through 27.
Onward. Amendment 11. The judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens or subjects of any foreign state.
Huh? What the heck did you just say?
The 11th Amendment just means that if you want to sue a state, you have to go to that state to do it.
So if I wanted to sue Illinois for having the Chicago Bears, I would have to sue them in the Illinois courts?
Yep, that's it.
The 12th Amendment created the Electoral College. We talked a lot about that when we studied the executive branch.
Every state has the same number of electors as they do members of Congress.
If you remember, 270 votes wins the presidency.
The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments are grouped together. They are all centered around the Civil War era and slavery.
These three are called the Reconstruction Amendments. If you remember, the time after the Civil War was called Reconstruction. We had to put our country back together.
They are also called the Civil Rights Amendments because they deal with our treatment of African Americans. What was our country going to do with the former slaves?
The 13th Amendment ended slavery in our country.
Before the 13th Amendment, people called abolitionists were trying to end slavery.
They used the Underground Railroad to help slaves escape to the North. During the Civil War, Abe Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation as an order to free the slaves. 2 years later, it became the law of the land in the 13th Amendment.
The 14th Amendment did two major things. First, it defined what a citizen is. Anyone born in the United States, has a parent as a U.S. citizen, or is naturalized as a citizen of our country.
This hasn't been talked about a lot lately, hasn't it?
Yes, as we near the election, several candidates want to remove the idea of gaining citizenship by being born in America.
That's the idea of birther rights or anchor babies.
Yes, Donald Trump is also questioning whether or not Ted Cruz, who was born in Canada, is a natural-born citizen.
The second part of the 14th Amendment helps us define due process. These are the steps the government needs to take to make sure everyone's rights are protected. With the 14th Amendment, the African Americans were to be protected as well.
The key word here is discrimination. Discrimination is treating someone differently because of their race, color, or gender. It is not supposed to be allowed here in America.
The 15th Amendment simply says all men aged 21 and older may vote.
Yep, that's it. Men. Still, no women.
With these civil rights amendments in place, America still was not very willing to accept racial equality.
Many whites still tried to make it hard for blacks to vote.
Blacks needed to pay what was called a poll tax to vote. Many didn't have or couldn't spare the money to vote.
They also had to pass a literacy test to prove that they could read. When you get to do this on your own, click on this link that says literacy test and you'll see an example of Louisiana's literacy test.
That just doesn't seem fair.
It wasn't, but it's what they did for many years.
40 years would pass before Congress passed another amendment.
The 16th Amendment gave the government the power to take income tax directly out of your paychecks. The Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, collects this tax.
The 17th Amendment changed how our senators were picked. Governors used to decide who would represent the state in Congress. After the 17th, the people of the state would now pick them. In Wisconsin, we have Ron Johnson and Tammy Baldwin.
The 18th Amendment is one you covered in 6th grade. It ended the making, selling, and drinking of alcohol. A group called the Women's Christian Temperance Union was loudly blaming alcohol for the problems and disrespect of young Americans. Their pressure got the 18th Amendment passed.
Instead of making everything better, it just made people gangsters like Al Capone run secret bars. Many people made speakeasy or illegal bars to keep on drinking.
The 19th Amendment finally gave women the right to vote, starting in 1919. That's about 50 years after black men were given the right. Women fought hard to get suffrage, or the right to vote. Men were not very nice to the women suffragettes. The shift in social beliefs helped women greatly earn their right.
Technological change helped push the 20th Amendment. Before the 20th Amendment, the president would get elected in November, but then take a long time to move his family to the Capitol. He would often take office in March, almost 4 years after the election.
With trains, automobiles, and planes, it became much easier to move. So Congress declared January 20th as Inauguration Day. The president gets sworn in and then attends many parties in his honor.
The 21st Amendment repealed or got rid of the 18th Amendment. Happy days were here again as alcohol was legal. It could have been the rise in crime, the social cry as people ignore the law, or the need to make money, but people are just happy to have it back. Cheers.
Franklin D. Roosevelt had been elected 4 times. People loved him. He led the country out of the Great Depression. After he died, Congress felt it was wrong for one person to be president that long. The 22nd Amendment set a term limit on the executive branch. A person may serve 2 terms as President of the United States. President Obama has served his 2 terms and will be leaving office next January 20th.
The 23rd Amendment officially created Washington, D.C. and gave it 3 electoral votes. Maryland and Virginia gave up land and the District of Columbia was created.
Looking back to ways used to discriminate against voters, the 24th Amendment made poll taxes illegal. People no longer had a restraint to stop them from voting.
It's interesting that as much as we are trying to make it easier for everyone to vote, we are now looking at requiring ID cards to vote. Some wonder if the ID requirement is just a way to replace poll taxes.
The 25th Amendment creates the order of succession. If the president dies, the vice president takes over. If something were to happen to both of them, the Speaker of the House becomes president. The list goes all the way through the president's cabinet.
So Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House from Janesville, is just 2 steps away from becoming president?
That's right.
The 26th Amendment is another one that has ties to history. The Vietnam War was very controversial. Many Americans felt we should not have gone there. Many young adults were frustrated that they would be forced to go to war at age 18 but couldn't vote or even voice their opinion until they were 21. Congress moved the official voting age 18 for everyone. So many of you will be able to vote for president in the election of 2024.
Finally, in 1992, Congress passed the 27th Amendment. Many citizens were fed up with how Congress could vote themselves a raise. This amendment made it so if Congress did vote themselves a raise, they could not receive it until after they were reelected. That way, if the people back home didn't like it, they could vote the congressman out of office.
Well, that's it. 27 amendments.
Only time will tell what we add next. Will we define marriage, redefine citizenship, determine how to handle terrorists? Our legislators will have to act carefully. It's hard to work on the document that has been our country's guide for over 225 years.